Good morning. I'm reflecting on our long weekend and how nice and refreshing last night was. I had family over for dinner, and more family came by for dessert and some Uno. And it dawned on me, nothing lasts forever, the good and the bad. When my kids were young, they grew up with their cousins, some of their cousins, not all of them. And then as they got older, they kind of all went their separate ways, not for any reason other than they were moving into their independence, starting college and just, going separate ways. Here we are a few years later, and they were all together, almost all of them, not all of them, but enough of them for me to realize that that time that they had together in their younger years is kind of a built-in system, but it's not always that way. It's interesting because my heart has lamented over recent years about how family and relationships and friend dynamics have changed. We could say it's from the isolation that was necessary during the COVID times, or we could say people grow and change, and I don't really have an answer for exactly why dynamics change, other than the fact that things move, time moves, people grow, people change, and it can be unsettling and heartbreaking if you're like me, where you enjoy being around people and you miss what was in the past. And I've spent time reading scripture about this very topic, and a couple scripture verses come to mind, and I'm going off of memory, so they're probably not going to be perfectly memorized or recited. One of them talks about how the wind changes and how we change, and you can either be tossed to and fro by the wind, or you can remain steady with the one who created you. So that was one, and it really is something that helps you remember that you can stay rooted even when life changes. The other verse that I was going to mention is escaping me at the moment. Maybe it'll come back before I'm done talking, maybe it won't. But ultimately, being a people person and learning how to love people and how to receive love, it has changed my soul for better. I'm so much more capable of opening my home and allowing people to come in and just seek refuge and enjoyment. And there's very little stress involved now. I remember not all that long ago not allowing people to come in because our house was always messy. And ours is lived in. I've talked about this many times. It's lived in, but I do attempt every day to get it in some sort of order. I attempt every single day to keep up with a routine of chores and teach everybody in the home that there's no maid on the payroll. And so our house, I'm pretty assured that it's never going to be perfect in my eyes. It's never going to be perfectly clean. It's never going to be organized. I would hope it would be, but I just don't think that I'm going to be gaining time while worrying about those things. So being around people brings perspective to me. Even people who are different than me. I can learn from them, and I can appreciate their ways and my ways, and understand that it's okay if they're different. And I want to truly encourage you whoever's listening, to do the same, to think about how you can love others and how you can release yourself from holding bitterness. It really is simple. It's by God's grace that we're saved. And so once you realize that, and once you realize that things that are done to you aren't personal, they might feel personal, but they're not personal. They're a part of life. And we can get wrapped up in it very easily and emotional about it very easily. But at the end of the day, what's going to matter? And how are you going to serve God in your everyday life? Because the everyday life is what's right in front of us. We can plan for things, but there's no guarantee that those things are going to happen. It's great when they do, and oftentimes, I know for me, if I plan something, oftentimes, if I make it a priority, I can make it happen. But that's with the understanding that God can make anything happen, and He can take anything away, and He's still good. And so these are things that I've come to learn and realize, and with that, my heart is so much more content. I've got so much more peace. And I do like to plan. And God understands that about me. And so He allows that, but then He also reminds me that sometimes the plans have to be adjusted. And we just don't know one day to the next what's going to come. And so understanding that we can have peace in all things, it really makes for a better day. And so that's what I'm going to leave you with. And I encourage you to give some thought to your everyday life and see if there's anything you can change or adjust. Have a great day.